On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. I don't know. The world's getting funnier and crazier and weirder every single second. Again, I think this is meant to kind of grab a lot of the stragglers, a lot of the people that are we don't want to leave behind. Let's just be honest. There's a lot of us that have family members that are part of this group of people that are still like, no, everything's fine. Okay. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to show that things are heading in a weird direction. Things are kind of weirdly fine, and at the same time, they're not. So we are seeing the contradiction between these two people, Biden and Harris. We're seeing the fact that we have an ineffective government right now, especially the executive branch. So many things to be concerned about, especially as the world is fracturing, literally. We've got major escalations that are occurring in Iran. Not necessarily had the fight yet, don't get me wrong, but everybody's pushing all sorts of troops over there. They're preparing for something large. Now, you would think, or it kind of hit on me a little bit, I was like, Trump doesn't want to start any wars, but who's to say those wars aren't happening once he takes over office? So why wouldn't we have a third war start, which of course isn't Israel. That's already going on. That's two. We got Ukraine, Israel. But China and Taiwan is going to be an interesting question. And why would that wait until Trump's in office? It wouldn't happen then. Would Trump fix everything after? Does Trump want to be considered the fixer? Probably all the above. Going into a weird time. I don't know. I'm enjoying the ride because I kind of know ultimately where we're going to head and land. I mean, not exactly. I know it's going to be awesome. I just don't know exactly what it's going to look like. A lot of that depends on, frankly, all you guys. I'm just along for the ride in some regards, too. But I'm helping lead us to where we're going as well. And I take that job actually stupidly serious. Costing me sleep lately. I was asking a buddy of mine. I'm just trying to check my own sanity. I don't want to say live the questions I asked him because it applies to a small number of people. There's very few people I would ask the questions to. But it's just weird. Sleeping's been a weird thing. And I've been taking my mushrooms. They do help normally, but lately the brain's just got something. It's like I'm working 2 jobs or something, or 3. I don't even know. Anyway. World disrupted, radio blackouts, August 1st. I've been watching Suspicious Observers, love the dude, and I constantly talk about him, and he's been talking about these small CMEs, but there's been many. We had another one, actually. It was on the far limb that's going away from us, and it was such a broad halo event that it's actually going to hit us. Our magnetic field on this planet is significantly weakened and supposedly going down, but they've actually taken away that visibility for us. The government stopped allowing us to see how bad it is. This new CubeSat thing is what he was calling it, is out, and that's going to give us, I guess, some visibility to this, and I think we're supposed to start to get, they're supposed to be coming online any day now. I think the stuff's already in space. It's just not, public yet. Hopefully that'll help. But we got a weird situation going on this planet. There is a transition coming. They say every 6,000 years we have something, and every 12 it's actually significant. So, it skips a generation, if you will. And we're on, fortunately, the minor side of this. There's also talk, too, by the way, of a cooling ice age because the ocean currents have sort of stopped and switched. And this was the thing from the day after, the morning, whatever the movie was, where everything changed and we went to an instant ice age and helicopters would fly through the thing and they would just stop working because it was so cold. It is, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to get solid information from the people that are the only ones that could actually tell. You can't measure any of this stuff if you're just a regular schmo. And so it's hard to get information, or it's hard to trust what we do get. But there's a lot of people that do some pretty solid backyard science, if you will, that are realizing different things. And by the way, these CMEs, these solar storms and all this stuff also generally relates to weather. That's another thing that Suspicious Observers points out the correlation between frequently. Again, there's something to do with the sun and actual effects on this planet, like weather, earthquakes. There's a lot of things that he has shown, interestingly, similarities. It's coincidental at worst. All said, Governor of Florida, I'm drawing a blank on a stupid name, DeSantis. Governor DeSantis declares state of emergency in the 54 Florida counties because they got the storm coming in. I don't think it's horribly organized, but sure seems like there's a lot of rain in there, so it's probably going to be vicious, probably some tornadoes. I didn't see. Anyway, I was watching a thing yesterday, just last night actually, that was reasonably fresh, and it didn't look like it was anything was heavily organized. But we've got some pretty strong tropical storms. Chevron Corporation announced Friday it's relocating its headquarters from San Ramon, California to Houston. Good job, Gavin Newsom. Good job, dude. Seriously. What other companies are you going to push away from this state? I love it. I mean, because at some point, people here in California are going to be like, dude, we got a problem, don't we? Because this state's not going to make it if you get rid of all the tax revenue from these giant corporations. California's in a tough place, and it's only going to get worse. And it's not like they can bleed a stone, right? Like there's not enough people here to pull extra money from. You're already killing us. And those of us that can will leave. And those of us that can't, well, it won't matter. Interesting information coming out. This is from the FDA. We've talked about it, but a little more information came in regards to it, or at least an email talking about it. But it was talking about the patients, a handful of these transgender kids using the drugs off-label for these, CPP drugs. I don't know what that stands for. But it has to do with the drugs that are messing with the hormone blockers, puberty blockers. So most of these patients had CPP, but a handful were transgender kids using the drugs off-label. We found no effect on bone after factoring on the catch-up growth, including no increase in fractural risk, which is interesting. Found no effect on bone. Now everybody says if you start this transgender process, well, then you're a woman. You're not really boned like a man. Well, first off, that actually speaks against that concept. Apparently, your bone structure doesn't change all that much when you start this process as a teen. So you definitely should not be boxing a woman when you're a man. That's called abuse, is what we called that growing up. People got beaten up. And I'm actually going to play something coming up that uses a word I don't like. I'll probably preface a little. But they did find an increased risk of depression and suicidality, as well as increased seizure risk. And they issued SLCs to the entire class for these AEs, right? For these issues. I think they gave them some sort of drug or whatever. There is definitely a need for these drugs to be approved for gender transition. They're being used off-label right now. This is what the deep state's pushing for. This is what they're doing. Now, this is the lady that uses the F word. I've said it before, and for those of you that don't like gay people, I'm sorry. I have friends. I've been in theater a lot of my life. I've known a lot of gay people. I've asked a lot of questions, by the way. I've learned a lot about when they realized they were gay and stuff like that. Most people, I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions. So this girl uses a word I don't use. The word fag, certainly threw it around a lot, but adding gots to it, I didn't. I used to when I was younger, maybe, but not as much. But that's actually kind of like the N-word for gay people, or for dudes and gay, I guess. I don't know if it really applies to women when they're gay. I don't know how that works exactly, but all said, for the LGBT community, you guys need to police yourselves, because you've got a bunch of people that are claiming to be all these extra letters that want to have bad relations with children. And they're taking down really what you guys are working for any of the gay people that are actually in my community. I just want you guys to know, I don't use this word in vain. I don't use this word. This is not a word I approve of. I don't use the N word ever. I don't use that word either. I think it's an ugly word. It's there. I have the freedom to say it if I want to. I just don't want to say it. It's an ugly word. I think this one is too. All said, this chick's running for Congress, and I love that. That's seriously why I'm playing this, because this is the kind of people we need. And even using a word that I'm not comfortable with. And here she is using it in public to make a point. I don't know. There's something to be said about that. We need more people that are willing to do that. Even I'm offended. I'm a little butthurt about it. But I'm supporting what she's doing, and I'm supporting her.
These faggots should get their own faggot category, because before, if a man hit a woman, it used to land him in jail. Now, it gets you a gold medal at the Olympics. These are the worst Olympics in history. They have made a mockery out of Christianity.
First off, she's hot. I mean, if it's wrong to say that, then I don't want to be right. I'm going to go there first, okay? First and foremost. But yeah, she's got the guts to say stuff. All right, now, some of you guys are just going to say that that I did this story because this lady's Asian. That's not why I did this story. Let's cover the story first, and then we'll deal with the problem. That's the elephant in the room. I'm happy to talk about that. But as allegations of former meddling roiled the Donald Trump presidency, this is back when he was 45, back in 2019, This individual, Max Boot, he blasted the 45th president as a Russian stooge and urged the feds to get tough. Quote, Washington should ramp up enforcement of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, that we hear all about, and expand U.S. counterintelligence efforts against foreign influence, not just espionage, end quote. Granted, I added some stuff in there, which that was in parentheses. You probably didn't notice. Change its focus from encouraging compliance to punishing non-compliance parties. Well, 5 years later, this guy might want to rethink his whole statements, because apparently this story's got a wonderful little twist to it. A pro-Trump media group found out about Boot's wife and occasional co-author, the former CIA analyst and longtime Asia policy expert Sue Mi Terry, has herself now been charged with 2 felony counts of serving as an unregistered foreign agent. So there you go. That's why I shared the story. The fact that she's Asian, is the reason I can't stop staring at her, because bang. What were we talking? Sorry. Get that off the screen. All right, suckage going on right now. Biden admin is freezing their controversial migrant flight program after fraud revelations. It's not because it's illegal. I mean, that's maybe next. But what is interesting is the Biden administration to put a stop to this program, allowing tens of thousands of migrants to come across, by the way, from 4 nations, to fly directly into the United States, into the heart of this country. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed to Fox News Digital that out of abundance of caution, it has temporarily paused the issue of advanced travel authorizations for the program, which allows up to 30,000 nationals from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, countries we can totally trust, allowing them to travel into the U.S. each month and enter legally under the administration's use of parole if they meet certain conditions. You got to really be heavily communist. A congressional source had told Fox News Digital the pause came in mid-July after an internal report unearthed large amounts of fraud in applications for those sponsoring the applicants. DHS said the pause was occurring as it reviewed sponsors' applications. They are making gobs of money off this, the bad guys, the criminal cartels. And here's the Biden administration just feeding these criminals in communist countries to send whoever they want to this country, into the heart of this country, into major cities, because you don't get flights like that into friggin' Minot, North Dakota, all right? Nobody's flying in there. It just happened to be a city I was dealing with recently, because I don't know why that popped up. I don't know any other really small cities off the top of my, whatever. So, yeah. Granted, there's an Air Force base there, so they probably got an international airport. Whatever. Sorry, my apologies to the 4 people in Minot that are listening to me. But at least I pronounced it right. Ex-AG Holder. This is kind of funny to me. So he's accusing the 9/11 terrorists that are avoiding death row because of political hacks. This is what he's saying. Eric Holder, who's, I think, someone we don't necessarily trust. For some reason, he's pissed off about it. NBC News is reporting it. He's calling these people political hacks for letting these terrorists avoid the death penalty. Now, it makes me wonder a few things right off the bat. When I've got this many people making something that seems like it would be a bad thing, when they're saying it's a bad thing, and I'm like, well, I don't trust either of you guys ever. Now I got to step back from this and be like, is this actually a bad thing? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe if 9/11 was an inside job, maybe these guys being alive to be able to talk about what they know for sure because they weren't necessarily part of it, at least the way we've accused them, maybe that would be valuable. I don't know. Just throwing weird, crazy things out, see what sticks. You know how pasta works. Or poo. This is some documented communications today from Biden about the plea deal for the 3 terrorists who plotted the 9/11 terrorist attacks and were charged with murdering nearly 3,000 people. Again, what I found most interesting, this is Rep. James Comer, when everything's built on a lie, you've got to continue that lie. If you don't continue that lie, well, everything starts to fall apart. So it's kind of like that whole adage, right? Like you pull the loose thread and you can destroy an entire sweater. Kind of what's happening here. We've already started tugging on the thread, and now we've gotten to 9/11, the buildings, the fact that they claimed things that were kind of impossible, the fact that there was thermite powder found all over the place. There's so many strange, interesting stories, certain buildings that went down and why and what was in them. The fact that there was actually additional couple buildings that we never hear about. We always knew about Building 7 and the 2 towers, but believe it or not, there's 2 other buildings that supposedly crumbled because of debris falling on top of them. That whole little area there got pretty jacked. And now, again, I don't know what's in those buildings. Those have been really quiet. Might be a good deep dig on that. All said, we've got an interesting time in history. And then here's the awkward moment where Joe Biden tells his freed prisoner's 12-year-old daughter, no serious guys until you're 30. Not the creepiest that Joe's ever been. But when you watch this little bit of video and you put into context the fact that we've seen how creepy he is countless times, this video bugs me a little bit. There's a lot of children here. Like I said yesterday, he was high on children when he was doing this speech. Still think that's true.
Let me end where I began, with Paul, Evan, and also Vladimir and their families. They never gave up hope. We can't imagine what they've been through, all of you. Matter of fact, this lady right here, I think, was living in the Oval Office with us for a while. All kidding aside, can't imagine their joy right now. They're home. Tomorrow's a big day. The 13th birthday of Miriam. Miriam, where are you? Come here. You all know we have a tradition in the Biden family. We sing happy birthday on any birthday. You ready? All of you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miriam. Happy birthday to you. Remember, no serious guys till you're 30. God love you. She's Alsu's daughter. Now she gets to celebrate with her mom. That's what this is all about. Families. Able to be together again. Like this.
You see how that poor child walked away like she just got raped? Okay, that's maybe not all played out because she just saw her mom again for forever. That's just a creepy-ass bastard. God, Biden, you're a gross, gross man. You are a gross, gross, disgusting man. All I can say. President Trump has never repeated that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. Biden, wait, why didn't he do it when he was president? Well, of the people that were hostages that they released, only one of them was actually a hostage at the time President Trump was in charge. And I still would hasten to say that we're talking journalists, at least 2 of them, the ones Biden got out, which is probably CIA, probably deep state. No offense. These guys have families too. They don't know what they do. But we have that going on. The 2 deep state CIA guys that we gave back like a major super spy. Essentially, we gave back a super spy of Russia's. Like, all right, you can have your super spy back as long as we get our news people back. Really? Reporters? Really? For a super spy? Reporters? Huh? Something doesn't feel right. Anyway, here's him being Biden.
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Sir, what did you
Because 2 of those people weren't actually prisoners. Joe? Fuck. Richard Grinnell. I was the a U.S. ambassador to Germany when Russian intel agent Vadim Krasikov rode his bike past a Chechen man and murdered him in broad daylight in the, why are you doing this to me? Tiergarten Park, less than a mile from the U.S. Embassy in Berlin. Well, that's better. It was a planned Russian attack staged from Poland. Jake Sullivan had pressured the Germans to release this terrorist back to Russia in exchange for a WSJ journalist, reporter, and a few others held on false charges. Putin has just learned that the West will send his terrorists back home to Russia after they kill their enemies if he has someone to exchange. Putin is very happy with Biden-Harris. Putin just got a huge gift from Germany, and yet Putin continues raging a war in Europe. We are less safe, I would say. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, in an interview with Punchbowl News, compared President Biden's proposed Supreme Court reform to the January 6, 2021 attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Said, quote, "That's what some people were trying to do January 6th, to break the system of handling an administration from one to the next, or handing an administration from one to the next. We can have our arguments, but we ought not try to break the rules. The reforms that Biden has backed include 18-year term limits, which would allow a president to appoint a new justice every 2 years, alongside a binding code of conduct. McConnell said earlier this week that the term limits will end up, quote, dead on arrival in the legislative branch. If you think about an 8-year term president, they'd be able to put in 4 justices, which would overly change, in effect, the overall scope of things. And they could very quickly, through a succession of taking 2 elections, well, stealing 3 elections, 4 elections in a row, and they would be able to turn the courts, just like Brazil, and it would be done. Done. Most of us would be in prison that have made any effort whatsoever to try to stand against these people. DHS IG confirms in a report from the Biden-Mayorkas DHS significantly stonewall his J6 investigation. Apparently, texts were deleted. Cell phones of top officials, presumably including Kim Cheadle, were wiped. Data never recovered. So the Office of Inspector General is having to get involved, I guess, or confirms that this is how the Biden administration works. This is how Hillary Clinton worked. This is how, I don't want to say Democrats because I don't think it's quite that simple, but this is how the deep state works. I don't think the Democrat Party is a good party in any way, shape, or form. I think they've actually kind of destroyed themselves everywhere. They are the party of doing whatever is necessary to maintain power. That's what they are. They don't stand for anything. They stand for shifting chameleon tactics. They don't stand for anything. All the things you guys stood for just 10 years ago, you don't stand for anymore. Well, a few of them you do. But most of them you don't. You're pro-war. You're, what was some of the other crazy stuff? You guys are pro-censorship. You're definitely not pro-labor right now because you're jacking over your own people all over the place with your taxes and everything else. It's insanity. So that's, some suckage for you. Dow Jones took a big hit, I guess, today. Some bad employment news came out. We've talked about this frequently.
We came in much weaker than expected on non-farm. We came in at 114,000 jobs on non-farm. The estimate was 175,000 jobs on non-farm. The employment rate unexpectedly went up. We went up to 4.3%. We were looking for a rate of 4.1%. Government jobs, 17,000 on the government job story, and that is actually a lot less than what we got last month. Remember, last month on government jobs, we had 70,000. Now we've only got 17,000. All right, private sector jobs, 97,000. Again, that is much weaker than expected. We were looking for 148,000 private sector jobs. Factory jobs, only 1,000.
Yeah, that's not very good at all, is it? Only 1,000 private sector jobs. I'll be happy the government jobs have gone down. That's actually, in my opinion, that's a good thing. That's actually a good thing. That means government's growing slower, which we definitely need. So recession looming. Marjorie Taylor Greene put this out. The Labor Department jobs report missed the mark and unemployment inched up. The Fed did not lower interest rates and may not because inflation is still running hot. Our national debt is now over $35 trillion and increases by $196 billion in new debt per month, which is going up constantly. That's $6.4 billion in new debt per day. $6.4 billion per day of debt in this country. $6.4 billion. Look at they spent $2 billion in Ukraine buying weapons. We go up in debt $6.4 billion every day. $268 million in new debt per hour. $4.5 million in new debt per minute, and $74,401 in debt per second. Probably coming from the debt clock, which is not a government agency, but it's probably reasonably accurate. Many Americans are struggling to get by and are sinking into serious debt just trying to make ends meet. Yet our oversized government keeps overspending and sends billions and billions to foreign countries. This path is rapidly becoming not only unsustainable, but a path to self-inflicted destruction. NASDAQ futures dropping as if the end of the world. Memo to all. It isn't. This is from Jim Cramer. So every time Jim Cramer says something, the opposite's true, right? Let me say that quote again, because you probably didn't hear it from Jim Cramer's face. NASDAQ futures dropping as if it's the end of the world. Memo to all. it isn't, says Jim Cramer. Guys, look, I've said it before. I don't even know if there's time. I'm not trying to rush or freak people out. I just don't even know anymore. Like, I'm trying to help as many of you as I possibly can. If you have a 401k or an IRA, literally, if you're in their system that's at the brink, we're teetering so badly right now as a top, spinning around. If you are in a 401k and IRA, you've been putting your wealth and assets into this forever. Okay? It's worth what it's worth. It's not going to get any better, really, at this point. Inflation's destroying the dollar, which is pegged at, and frankly, all the crazy stuff in the bubble that's happened in the stock market is also going to destroy your future if you don't do the right thing soon. And the right thing could be a lot of things. I don't know what it is for your situation, but I'm going to tell you one way, tax-free and penalty-free and very efficiently, tax-free, penalty-free, efficiently get out of that system and get into a precious metals system, IRA, precious metals IRA, that's actually gone up about 45% right now, we're looking. The prices have gone up, in fact, so high and fast on precious metals since March, literally, that it's actually valued higher than what it was bought at. It's actually made money. So an ounce of gold bought back in March, for example, and that same ounce of gold right now is worth 45% more than it was. I don't think that's right. It's not 45% more, but the value, what its buying power has gone up. It's not actually worth 40. That would be sick. It'd be ridiculous. But it's gone up and it's made money. Bitcoin's the only other one that's doing it right now. Home prices, no. I know they're going up, right? But the value of the dollar relative to inflation, relative to the amount of money we're printing as a federal government. Printing debt is printing money. It's the same thing. It devalues our dollar. And we're doing it, 2.8 billion per day? Don't stay in the dollar. The dollar is not the place to keep your wealth right now. You can get out. It liquidates easily. It's actual physical when you transfer over, tax-free, penalty-free. It's literally physical gold. They acquire precious metals, could be silver too, whatever. They get you precious metals. They put it in a trust, so it's not in your possession. That's how they do it, tax-free, penalty-free. And you transfer it over. They help you do it. They help you do it quickly. There's a lot of things that go into it. There's a lot of involvement in all over the place, right? If it's Fidelity, right, there's involvement with them. Then it's got to go into precious metals. It's got to be purchased and acquired, right? Like there's a process. Goldco's freaking awesome at it. And their customer service is bar none the best I've ever dealt with. Questions. You got questions along the way? Call them every day. Just get to know whoever the heck it is that's working with you. They're going to give you the answers that you need. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system. And if you got some cash lying around right now, you should probably buy some precious metals as well. Go to drslikesgold.com. You could qualify at up to $8,000 of free silver, which is way undervalued right now. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system. Seriously. Because they're trying to get their money out of you. They don't want you to have it. They want to have it, but they're losing, so they don't want to leave it for you. They'll burn down the house behind them. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. All right, continued suckage, which is what I'm calling it anyways. Here's some more Kamala Harris stuff. Unearthed clips of Kamala Harris scolding people for saying Merry Christmas.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Ah, such an optimist. Woo! Woo! Nobody should have. Bah humbug! You should have a shit Christmas because this child over here is having a bad Christmas. I don't want that child to have a bad Christmas, but I'm going to be honest with you. That one child having a bad Christmas is not worth millions of people having a bad Christmas, so shame on you, Kamala Harris. Back at you. What Indian black woman?
Hey y'all, this is Coach Tommy Tuberville from the great state of Alabama. You know, I want to take a moment to address the recent media meltdown attacking President Donald Trump. If you don't know by now, the mainstream media is the enemy of the people. The corrupt media is comprised of radical liberal operatives disguised as journalists. And they are colluding with the Democrats to try to influence this election any way they can. They are obsessively talking about the latest thing President Trump said. because they are desperate to avoid talking about Kamala Harris' terrible record on policies. The media is now trying to rewrite history to make it seem like she is a moderate, but she has a 20-year record of being liberal, more liberal than Bernie Sanders. Since the evil corporate media is lying to you, let me tell you a few true facts about Kamala Harris. Since she was crowned border czar in 2021, she has let more than 10 million illegal immigrants invade our country, including murderers, terrorists, rapists, and drug dealers. The media wants to act like this wasn't her fault, but she has a long record of being soft on the border and soft on crime. She said in 2019 she wants to decriminalize border crossings. She said she wants to reimagine public safety and supports defunding the police. She wants to abolish ICE, and she wants to give free health care to illegal immigrants. Kamala's vision will be the end of America and the American dream as we know it. And the media will always cover for her. So they've whipped everyone into a frenzy, doing everything they can to cast President Trump in a bad light. Here's the truth. Our country is suffering. It has a terminal illness. Our country is in trouble. If you were diagnosed with cancer, you would immediately go out and find the best doctor you could find. Right now, our country needs the best of the best. We need a leader that can save us, a leader that is going to heal America, not harm America. I have faith that Americans will make the right choice, despite the media's best efforts to hide the truth about Kamala Harris. God bless, and God bless America.
You too, sir. And boy, you must have gotten teased about those ears, huh? I'm sorry, man. Those are really big ears, though. Tuberville, he can hear you from a mile away. So, watch out. You watch out, people. Okay, I'm just joking. I don't know. Yeah, I have to sometimes. Senator Tom Cotton put this out, and apparently Rep. Elise Stefanik have launched a probe into Vice President Kamala Harris's national security advisor over his ties to an Iranian government influence network, the Washington Free Beacon has learned. In a Wednesday letter to Harris, Cotton, and Stefanik, asking the presumptive Democratic nominee to provide information about her advisor Phil Gordon's, quote, connections to Ms. Ariane Tabatabai. I've had a hard time every time I try it. Tabatabai. Yeah, you guys try it. I'm sure you can do it really good. All right, all you guys are going to thumbs up in the comments section. First off, hit the thumbs up if you were not able to say it, please. And then if you were able to say it, hit the thumbs up and put a comment and say that you were able to say it. Do both. That's what I'm talking about. If you can say Tabatabai, then you're gold. You should start a channel too, by the way. You're really good at talking and stuff. All that said, she was a senior Department of Defense official who was reportedly involved in an Iranian government operation to expand Tehran's soft power in the United States. So looks like the direct advisor to the president, Phil Gordon, I don't know if that's the one that's to the president's wife or the one that's to the president himself. I forget the name of that dude. All said, direct tie to power, and this person's helping the Iranian government infiltrate this country. And none of this works out well. Here is I don't know who this chick is. I probably should, but she is an Indian lady as well, and she's a little miffed at Kamala Harris's take on things, especially when it comes to race. I like how she's calling it out because she's Indian. Pretty fair.
I'll give you an example. She would come into a South Asian Bar Association meeting and she'd be like, namaste, and like pander to that group. But a lot of us, actually, most of my friends in that association are liberal. We would comment on the fact that she only seemed to be Indian, actually, when she was asking for money from Indian Americans. And then she would abandon that. She did nothing for my client who was Indian American in the civil rights case. She had zero record of advancing anything having to do with our community when she had power. So I think it's curious that people continue to fawn over her as that kind of a candidate. And so I think she's just she's a chameleon, and that's a fair criticism of her. She's taken on whatever mantle can help her get ahead. I mean, you see this ludicrous accent that she's put on it. By the way, I grew up in rural North Carolina. I actually grew up in a segregated town in rural North Carolina in the 1970s. And, she ain't from rural South, and she is not part of that persona. They don't talk like that in Jamaica, where her family really is from. And so, I think it's a distraction, though. I completely agree with Vivek. You know, the hyphenated American thing is so passé. America is a beautiful country, and every single American deserves civil rights, equal protection, due process, and predictability. And President Trump, when he talked at the RNC convention about running to be the president of all Americans, that's what I want to hear. And Kamala Harris and her little flacks out there have some nerve criticizing any discussion of race when she's the one who brings it up. She's the one who panders on it. She's the one who got to her position explicitly because of it. She's the one today, this week, she has been segregating her supporters into gender and race categories. White men for Harris, white women for Harris. My goodness, it's 2024. Who does that? It's so cringe. And so I think it's fair to criticize her on that, but ultimately, we as Republicans have to move the needle of the voters. And specifically, our focus needs to be getting those apathetic Americans out there who don't vote, our neighbors who own guns, our neighbors who own businesses, our neighbors who create jobs, our neighbors who work the factory lines. We got to get those people to take a day off or take a few hours off, or if they have early voting in their state, get their ballot from them, make sure their vote counts, because America as we know it is going to be over if Marxist Kamala Harris, deconstructionist of the law, of civil rights, of everything you know and hold dear, becomes our president. It is game over for this country. I don't know how we're going to come back from that.
Nobody does. I didn't want to have my head covering her mouth. Oh my God, I can't see her lips talking. How does she do that? It's crazy. We are going through a transition. Everywhere. People calling names, people saying stuff, races separating and realizing who's who. You know, the hyphenated thing always pissed me off a little bit. I always thought it should, at least no matter what, and I'm okay with this, frankly, to be honest, but say you're from Africa, then you're American Africa, or American African first. You're American Brazilian. You're American Chinese. You're whatever. But you're American first. Or at least once you finally get your citizenship, you're American first. And then whatever nationality. Because that's awesome. Be honest with you. It helps sometimes. You're curious. You're like, I'm not sure where you're from. And it, I don't want to ask because it's usually frowned upon. Kamala Harris's unscripted moment as they greet the released Americans does one of her repetitive things again. I don't know. It's not the worst speech she's done, but again, it was stupid. Off the cuff. I don't think this was scripted. And I don't know. Again, talking with your hands. You've got to make sure you talk with your hands all the time. Always talk with your hands. But it's Kamala.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
Yeah. And Biden's like, why didn't you wear an open shirt so I could look down at... At least, that's what my mind thought. I might be wrong. Biden, you're stuck with me. It's kind of funny.
You're stuck with me as president for a while, kid. There's no way out, okay? You got me for at least another 100 or 90 days or so.
And I'm sure there's a legitimate reason why he's looking up. I'm sure that's where everybody's at. But when you think about it from a cinematic? When you look at it from that standpoint, it looks like he's looking to God, right? Doesn't it look like he's having that God conversation? Like, God, why hath thou forsaken thee? Kind of funny. No? We need to get out more. Biden just left for the weekend in Delaware, and Kamala's not doing a whole lot. She's talking to some staff members. So they're not trying really hard to win elections or anything, are they? Again, it's about the money, and then that's advertising, and there's a lot of things they can do to beat down, but what they can't do, and what Trump's doing that's killing him, is he's friggin' awesome at doing rallies, which makes people feel each other's energy. That's the biggest thing. Ask everybody what they talk about. It's the feeling. It's the vibe. When you get 25,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 70,000 plus people thinking and feeling the same thing, It changes worlds, people. It's at one moment. I've talked about how if we could get everybody at 1 second to think the same thing, it's something I wanted to do eventually with a live audience, but nowhere near the number of people I would need whenever I do a live. But that is powerful. And they can't change it. And every time Trump does it, it's almost, I don't want to say it like, I'm just trying to help you understand metaphorically. It's almost like a white magic experience. Okay, all the dark magic stuff like the Olympics and all this, they do these like weird things. These almost seances sometimes. CERN did it when they opened up their little thing. They do these crazy things. Well, getting people to a positive place, positive energy, positive thinking is kind of like the opposite of that. And it's extraordinarily powerful because it's that one moment. It can heal a whole area. It can change the energy of a whole area. I know I'm getting off in the weeds, but frankly, it's true. Just trying to help you all best I can. Biden not doing anything. Kamala not doing anything. Chelsea Clinton angling for ambassadorship if Kamala Harris wins the election. First off, if Kamala wins the election, the world's... I mean, they might call it that way. All right, if she legitimately, after everything's said and done, is still president, this is going to be ugly. An ugly future awaits us. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think enough people need to see that dark reality, like in their minds, be like, I don't want that. I'm going to think about this other positive reality. Then I think we can actually do it. Again, Trump talking about a better tomorrow, make America great again. Everything he's doing is a positive movement, a positive flow. We've ultimately got to get ourselves there. Chelsea Clinton is not going to help. You know those posh blue and pink-haired children that have got nothing better to do than glue themselves to the road and throw soup at Van Gogh paintings? Yeah, those people? Hillary Clinton's funding them. And now they're in the UK heavily, and now we understand that Chelsea wants to be a part of that. Oh, isn't that interesting? It almost makes sense, doesn't it? Now, a lot of people are talking about this. I'm only bringing it up. I don't normally cover, anti-cover, or try to cover bullshit stories that are floating around. But because I think this is actually going to impact so many people, I was like, all right, let's put a statement out at least. And I think two people nailed it down really well. John Harold was one of them. But this dude goes, look how retarded this op turned out. So this guy Dudley Brown tweeted this out. He goes, official statement from this is Kyle R. on the 2024 presidential race. I assume that's his legit account. Don't know. But it sounds like he took his recording and maybe took it out of context or whatever the case was, and then stated it like it was fact, like this is what Kyle is saying. So one thing to point out about Dudley Brown, and I'll give you more specifics on the problem here in a second, but everybody's, I guess, or a lot of people are freaking out about this, or tripping out. This Dudley Brown guy, so he was posted some other odd things back in the day. Controversial take of the day. John McCain looked like a stalwart conservative compared to Donald Trump. This is what this same guy said. And also said, Sass is hardly establishment. Two people that are obviously horrible establishment people. So Dudley Brown is a troublemaker. He's who's pushing this narrative. If you've heard this narrative, it's because somebody picked it up from this one individual. It's power of this platform. That's why it's important to try to remember to be good to the people that are out there, but some people are not. Some people are mischievous. Some people want clickbait. So we don't know exactly what's up. John Harold posted this. This is what Con Inc. does. They ride the coattails of Trump and MAGA, lie about Trump's stance on one hot-button issue, then use that lie as a reason not to support him. The conclusion of this psyop is these people ignoring election fraud and justifying the loss by saying things like, if only Trump had done the things I said he should do. Kyle is not the first to do this, and he won't be the last leading up to the election. And this guy, Salty Goat's all pissed off. What are we supporting, this little cocksucker? Now he's talking about a write-in candidate. So whatever the case is, and maybe Kyle did say it, who cares? First off, who gives a shit what Kyle thinks anyway? The dude did something that was shouldn't have been out there really to begin with. He held the ground, did his rights, kind of fought that for us. So the dude's a friggin' stalwart hero, in my opinion, for that. And I'll use the word. But he's also a young kid that doesn't know shit, all right? I'm not going to, like trust the country in his hands. Are you friggin' serious? Come on. Kyle's a good kid and all, but no. Come on. So, again, we trip hard sometimes, and I just want to make sure we weren't going to there. This is going to be a fun segment, and this is possibly going to piss off YouTube. I'm looking forward to it. Rep. Jim Jordan demands documents from Lauren Mershon, president of the Authentic Campaign, Inc., and a former Kamala Harris campaign staffer. Wants docs relating to what and how their work with Kamala Harris. See how I was using the hands there? It made you help. It helped, right? How they're going to be using this against or trying to pull the information from her, that what they did for Kamala, the different touch points they had around that. It'll be interesting because it could very well mean something. So again, Jim Jordan asking the right questions. We like that. Another J6 bombshell. Secret Service apparently got intel on high potential for violence but didn't tell agents. The Secret Service developed intelligence that there was a, quote, high potential for violence. Love when they repeat themselves. That this actually put Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and Kamala Harris at risk. So, I don't know. A lot of throwing the Secret Service under the bus, I assume, and would also say anybody that's willing to throw themselves on top of the president and risk being shot and killed themselves is that's hardcore. Hardcore. It's not even your own family. It's one thing to jump on your own daughter or son and save their life, your wife, right? But, and I, even as a mom, I'm sure you guys would do that too. I just, man side of it. But yeah, to jump on a stranger and die for them? I mean, you'd know them, but still. Yeah, Secret Service kind of being dropped on the bus. I don't know. I think there's a lot of failure all over the place. I don't want to just blame just one group, right? I think there's a lot of blame to go around. And remember, Mayorkas is on top of all of this. Mayorkas has been impeached. Garland wouldn't do anything about it, and the Senate wouldn't take it up either, or they tabled it, or whatever the hell they did. It didn't pass. It didn't go through, whatever. So Mayorkas is still running around causing problems. Let's just call a spade a spade. Apparently, the Trump shooter's autopsy came out. So you guys are probably wondering, the guy that shot the president and then got shot, apparently, the autopsy came out, and they found out what killed him. Yeah, it was gluten. Yep, too much gluten. Too much gluten. Yep, blew his stomach right up. Nope, didn't at all. I was kidding. Had a head wound. I don't know if you know. So there's a guy, Brandon Herrera, I've talked about it before. He's just one of the few YouTubers that I like that do weapons stuff, and they do it, I think, responsibly. Okay, always, the rules never point your weapon any place where somebody, always know what's down target and all that stuff. Right? The rules are there. We've got rules for a reason. I don't want to list them all off. I'm not trying to show off or anything, and frankly, I'd probably get half of them wrong. Trump shooter's autopsy tells us something that they're like, well, yeah, it was a head wound is what got him. So what Brandon did is he did some test one with the AR-15 platform and the shots fired from there, going close to things, whether or not that caused any damage, because people were trying to say that, it was the bullet going near Trump's ear. And so he dispels, I think he does a beautiful job, this testing the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. I think he does an amazing job on this particular video. 3.6 million people have seen, that's subscribers. I don't know how many views we got. How many views we got? How many views are there? Where the hell is the word? Greece is the word. I don't even know. Don't even know how many. Doesn't matter. Whatever. There's lots of people that have seen it. 332,000 people have done a thumbs up on this video. So crap ton of people have watched this video. What he shows is what the AR-15 platform does, the power of it, yada, yada. Then what he does is he takes the sniper, the counter sniper rifle, which is a totally different rifle, and hits ballistic dummy in the head with that counter sniper rifle. I don't know if it's the same yardage, but close. Over 100 yards, I think. And I want you to see it because it'll almost make the last story a little funnier in the big picture, I think. I mean, again, this is where I'm probably going to get in trouble with YouTube, and if I have to trim it out, whatever the hell. You guys that are watching on YouTube, yeah, you didn't get to see the cool Brandon Herrera video. You should check it out, testing the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Anywho, here's a few seconds of this that's changing the world.
I think the 300 Win Mag will take good care of him.
Godspeed, little asshole.
Without further ado, let's go ahead and take this shot. Firing. 3, 2, 1. I think we...
So you guys remember how they never really showed a picture of the actual hitter's, the shooter's head, did you? Right? Crooks, supposedly. I don't know. Whatever. This is impressive what this round likely did. So, yeah, I feel like it was probably not a tough decision by the coroner. Yeah, got a giant hole in his head. Everything else seems good. He's probably dead from that. Top Democrat of newly commissioned House task force to investigate the attempted assassination of former President Trump is insisting that the investigation will be free of politics. Jason Crow, he was apparently one of the impeachers, as I call him right now. He's from Colorado, which almost guarantees these guys jacked up. Hakeem Jeffries has wanted him. I think that was some of the stuff that Hakeem was going to do was like, hey, I'm going to put some of those people in there like you guys tried to do on January 6th and see what you do about it. And Johnson or whoever allowed it, unlike what they did in January 6th. In January 6th, they wouldn't let McCarthy put his people on the panel. They didn't like those people. They wanted to use the Republicans of their choice. So that's how we got Swalwell, Cheney, and I don't know, whoever the other one was. Yeah. Cash is on fire. Dude's a rock star. Love him. Check it out.
What do you do about the FBI? What does President Trump, or what should he do about the FBI when he gets into office? Because I gotta believe these agents, many of them are dug in deep.
Look, one of my biggest personal recommendations is you shut down the FBI headquarters building and open it up the next day as the Museum of the Deep State. And you send those 7,000 agents in the headquarters building downrange to chase down rapists, to chase down murderers, to chase down drug traffickers, and let the cops be cops on the streets across America. You keep a small contingent in Washington, D.C. That's step one. You get rid of half of the legion of lawyers and special counsels that exist within the FBI to do one thing, to corrupt and obstruct government oversight from constitutionally applicable committees in Congress. And another aspect of it real quick is one of the biggest institutions in the FBI that has been troubled and politicized and weaponized has been their intel component. We have an intel agency. I don't need it to be redone within the walls of the FBI. We've shown when we've given them that power what they do to it. They unlawfully surveil a president and his candidate. So those are three quick things that we could rattle off. That would be my recommendation to reform the FBI. There's many more.
I hope Cash is in the next, I think he will be, the next administration. I think he's earned it beyond words. I love the dude. Love him. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean shit, but I love the dude. Rep. Clay Higgins put this out. To the FBI, your whole life is, quote, a digital trail of evidence, end quote. Wake up, America. I think Clay Higgins is calling him out, and this is the guy, the Louisiana guy. I love it. When I got to play his videos, man, I got to speed him up, because down there in Louisiana, y'all, they don't have any hurries on how quickly they talk. They're just going to kind of let you know things are sort of progressing as they go. And I fall asleep in the middle of his stuff. I can't take it. It's hard to even slow down that much. I had to go down to like 33 and a 45 RPM record. You know what I mean? It can't do it. It can't do it. It's impossible. No one should have to do it. It's against the law. At least I think. Donald Trump stuff. Trump Media has announced a rollout of streaming platform on Truth Plus. I hope, and I think, if I remember correctly, they're using Rumble. By the way, two stocks I kind of almost sort of recommend. One, I'm in Rumble. I'm not in Truth. I want to be. I've thought about it. But this is a good step for them. And these are things I would consider, because I think YouTube's going to kind of continue to do strange things to a lot of different people that tried to get through the last 3 different censorship blocks. I don't know, 2 at least, the elections, COVID. Those are 2 key, huge ones. And I think a lot of people are going to actually get screwed as we get up closer to the election. I feel bad for those people, but it's like they kind of still stayed on the platform that screws them, rather than really just committing to the platform that doesn't, and just building the audience there. And I mean, Russell Crowe's come over here, or Russell Brand, sorry. We've also got, of course, not Joe Rogan, but that would be rad. Tucker is using, I think, our back end. No, he's not. He's on Twitter. There's another big guy over here. I forget who the hell it was. Someone. But there's people that are starting to realize this is about the truth platforms. All of them. There's a number of them. And I think X is on that. I do. I think. I know some countries are going to try to block it. I don't think that's the case with Rumble and Truth. I don't think it matters to them. Rep. Bob Good, he's from Republican from Virginia. He officially lost his congressional primary race Thursday to the gentleman, by the way, that Trump was recommending. It was a recount. It was very close, and the mofo still lost. So I don't know. Maybe he's a nice guy. But he lost. This is Thursday after a recount effort. It determined that Republican state Senate John McGuire narrowly defeated the House Freedom Caucus chairman. The Virginia State Board of Elections called the 5th District race in McGuire's favor last month, finding that the state lawmakers who was endorsed by former President Donald Trump beat Good by 374 votes. Ooh, close, but no cigar. Close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and he always used to say something else I can't talk about. I don't know. Nuclear weapons for sure counts, I think. Sex. I think pregnancy sometimes an almost is, but I don't know. President Donald Trump's lawyers say the tweets prosecutors cited as evidence during his criminal hush money trial were covered by immunity protections. One of the several points say should reverse his conviction. He's coming at him with so much stuff. The Supreme Court, what they did, gave him ammunition. I mean, it's costing Trump a fortune, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's still working out, changing everything. Musk-backed super PAC. So Musk created the super PAC. I think that's where that $45 million a month is coming. And because of his creation of that, a bunch of Musk's friends and quote-unquote other friends of Trump really behind the scenes that have lots of money in the tech sector up there in San Francisco, that area, right, where they're all at, they're giving money to Trump. Yeah, that's going to suck for the deep state, isn't it? Not to mention a lot of these guys are, quote, probably moving out of the state, which is also going to suck for the deep state. Folks, I love this company. I love what they do. I love what they're about. They're about keeping pets and us, frankly, but pets, certainly, healthy, alive longer. There's so many different reviews of people talking. Let's go to page 2 this time. Oh, wow, they've changed it up. About dang time. I like that. Right? All right, Braveheart and Mercedes, we talked about. Then Zenta, I think we talked about Zenta recently. Look at all these people that are talking about their different dogs. Meet 16, almost 17-year-old Jack. Last month, he could hardly walk and his eyes were gray. Today, now, thanks to mush puppies, they're only like $16, $18, something like that. Right? It's got this Coriolis versicolor mushroom in it. And there's all sorts of studies. They got a studies page too. There's for cats, dogs, horses, and people, by the way. The same mushroom does the same benefits. It just seems to heal stuff. When you listen to the people talk about it, the only thing a lot of these people did different was started giving mush puppies. It's a step in. It's a step to start. And you'll actually probably see, from what it seems, results quickly. I take the pills for myself. I love them. I feel better. I sleep better. I'm actually having better dreams. It's been pretty cool. And I do it because I smoked for 21 years. I'm just like, I don't know, for whatever. If there's ever any weird stuff floating around inside my body that hasn't been taken care of like it should be, well, this is helping. It just gives me that extra step in the positive direction, if you will. Like I know for sure I'm okay because I got this going on. People talking about how this has affected their animals, how it's affected their loved ones. Let's grab another random one if I can. Maybe not. It's not as easy as one would say. Odie's another older dog who is feeling down, but the mush puppies have cheered him up and helped him feel better and younger. I'm telling you, folks, all you got to do is go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Let's essentially do that together. Whoops. I do it all the time, so it knows me. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. This is where you can shop, and that's where we're going to go in a second. Reviews, that's where the people talk about their animals and the different things that this has helped with. Research, the different studies that actually show how this Coriolis versicolor mushroom actually makes a huge difference. And there's some cool rewards plans. Like, if you literally are going to be buying this and you've got friends that have dogs and stuff, and you're like, hey, do you want me to get some? This is cool stuff. I can get some for you. If you think it's good. And here's the thing, is if you're selling more than $150 a month, or buying yourself even more than $150 a month, you actually want to go to the rewards tab and check that out. There's a couple different ways you can get into it, but you actually get a discount on what you buy, or there's a different step where you actually buy a little package and now you actually get commission if on everything you buy, or certainly anything you decide to talk somebody else into buying. So the rewards path is a cool path too, but you kind of got to be doing more than $150 a month. And I say that because it costs like $15 a month for the web fee, right? So if you're doing that, rewards tab, you want to go. Outside of that, shopping incredible products. Again, for dogs, they've got the mush puppies, which we talk about. They've got a mush puppy plush that's got some extra goodies in there. Mojos are another treat type. It's like a beef liver kind of treat, I think. Yeah, and it's also got the Coriolis versicolor in there. So again, when you got one of them finicky dogs, that might be the better approach to go with. Again, mush puppies, this 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They just taste different, basically. They've got freeze-dried food. They've got super sauce, that you, like squeezy things, that you like the kids' juicer things. You can put that right on top of their normal food. Wet, dry, doesn't matter. And that way they're getting that same delicious, healthy benefit on top of their food, right? So you're not changing a lot, but they're getting a big change inside. They've got dried food, freeze-dried food, canned food, dog bones. They've got toys. Antler sticks are amazing. You should think about the fact that your dog is actually chewing it down like they're supposed to, like a stick. It helps with their teeth and all that. But when they grind into this, they're getting minerals in their mouth. They're getting that mineral that the antlers are made of. That's super, super healthy for them. And they're grinding it down, so they're getting it in really small little forms that their bodies can absorb. There's a lot of really amazing products that this company offers. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. These freaking guys are awesome. I'm going to have the owners on someday, and they keep talking about trying to get on, and I want them on. I'm ridiculous. But they got the mutt mints, right? Your dog's got that nasty ass breath. This is going to give them the mushroom and better breath. It's the mutt mints or the mush puppies without, with the help of the benefit of the breath. And it's natural mints, by the way. And that's the other thing. They got toys for the kids, toys for the dogs and cats. Cats have this like rope thing with some of their standard Nipster stuff. You know what we're talking about. They got the food for them, super sauce for them. They've actually got it for the horses too, mush ponies. You got a pony? One a day is going to help. That's for sure. If you got a lot of ponies, they've actually got a bunch of different buying ways you can go about it with horses. This stuff's really good for horses. And again, huge difference. Humans as well. They got a human tab. They've actually got coffee that's got this in it, and it doesn't have the toxins. All this stuff is amazing. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Make that big step. It's going to help you or any of your loved ones, your little baby loved ones, your four-legged loved ones. It's going to help them. And that's what we want to do. All right, got some of the Venezuela stuff. Kind of crazy going on. CNN posted this. Venezuelan opposition leader says she's in hiding and fears for her life in a Wall Street Journal op-ed, though they're able to find her. You got to laugh about that, folks, by the way. Anyone that's like hiding from the deep state, right? Hiding from the government. When the news can find you, but the government can't. It should scare you. It's not true, I don't think, more than anything, but whatever. Nicolas Maduro posted this, the actual dictator that cheated the election. And he's saying this to the United States. He says, I have always discussed, if the U.S. government is willing to respect sovereignty and stop threatening Venezuela, we can return to dialogue based on a single point, Qatar compliance, which I think is total compliance. This is the record of that negotiation. So it's like either you do what we say or else, which is very, very American to do, by the way. I don't know why this is happening, because the deep state seems like they would favor Maduro, but maybe he was going to come clean. I don't know. Whatever the case is, everybody seems against him right now, which they kind of should be. The guy's a douchehole. ABC News posted this. U.S. government recognizes Venezuelan opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez as presidential election winner. Apparently the U.S. is calling it Argentina, Buenos Aires, Buenos Aires. They are not actually agreeing with Maduro. So they're like, no, the new person is Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia. This is who we say is the president. You are done. And that's kind of how dictators roll, That's how they roll. Whoops. All right, Israel. We got some. This is the place where a lot of crazy is starting to stack up. U.S. prepares to counter Iranian attack on Israel within days, U.S. officials say. Now, we know there's no flight zones already around this whole area. What is interesting is that other than what I'm going to show in a second, there's been minimal attacks. The big attack from Iran has not happened. What's also interesting, because if this was such an important thing, what's also interesting is they're going to allow U.S. forces to stock up in that area before. Makes no sense. What's going on? Did the deep state lose power, or is this just a show? Or both? U.S. poised to send more combat aircraft to the Middle East. They're sending more stuff. I think I even saw a video of, I think it was a B-52, but I think it might have been closer to Ukraine. Black Sea, I think it was. Yeah, it was Black Sea. There's a barrage of rockets launched from Lebanon towards northern Israel that happened today. Now, we don't need to necessarily show it. I'm sure it's it's cool as hell, like fireworks, but being shot towards Israel is kind of a bummer in a big way. Lebanon is attacking, or from Lebanon, again, attacking, which is meant to inspire that response into Lebanon, which is what is meant to inspire response from Turkey. But Turkey so far is chilling, but maybe that might change. Iran definitely feels like they have to because of the response into Lebanon. All of this is weirdly planned and escalating right now because nothing else is working. Now, again, is it the wars that are going to be the thing that finally causes the presidency to be postponed? It's never been done in history, but I could see them totally doing it. It would make almost the most sense because I don't think COVID or whatever is going to work this time. I just don't. I think they're trying it, but it's not working. So I only option they really have is to somehow escalate the war, and they have some control over that, at least as far as what it looks like to everybody else. Again, we'll see. Series of assassinations have left this guy, Yahya Sinwar, de facto Hamas leader. So this dude's apparently in charge now, which, this dude's just like F. So I can't have a cell phone anymore, can't even have a watch, can't have anything that's potentially emitting any sort of signal because the United States or Israel or both are totally looking to nuke me. So yeah, the dude's in charge. He's got to be bummed. They placed a $400,000 bounty on his head, by the way, in case anybody's in the area. Real guy of the Israelis want to get him and will likely eventually get him. And he's probably in a tunnel somewhere. They're saying, living in a tunnel. Right? Your life has gotten good when you're living in a tunnel. That's when you really got to sit there and sort of think some things over again. You're like, maybe I've been a little too harsh to certain people. I mean, some could say I'm alive, but you're like, well, I'm inside a tunnel, though, in the earth. It smells very earthy here. Like mushrooms, but not quite as good. The Air France KLM group has announced that all further flights to and from Ben Gurion International Airport in Tel Aviv have been canceled. No mas. Air France is pulling out of Israel. They are preparing. And it's, of course, the standard players. France was the ones pulled their airlines out, right? See who moves their what is it, the governmental buildings, right? I'm drawing a blank on the stupid words, but yeah, when you have your, it's on the tip of my brain. when you go to another country and you got a U.S. consulate or whatever, like watch who empties those, right? Like who gets rid of that stuff or pulls out. It will be the same G7 countries. It will be the same people, deep state, that are trying to create this war. I don't know if it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be as extreme as they say it will or want it to be. But I think something will happen in that regard. So it's like, how do we live through this? We'll find out. Shouldn't surprise anybody, but apparently flirty Bill Gates was like a kid in a candy store. He was apparently a lot like Joe Biden. And Microsoft apparently banned younger interns from spending any time with him alone, possibly why his wife is no longer with him. But Bill Gates is not really like on the ground in Microsoft anymore. Like, I don't know why interns would be hanging out with him, even at isn't he the money side of it now? But whatever the case is, they're slamming Bill Gates. I think they're getting ready to start to release some of the names of Epstein's book. And of course, Gates is on there. I wonder if he's going to be on that first release. Likely. And maybe his wife is, or man, I don't know. She's an interesting one. Maybe she's not wanting to be around any of that when it happens. Like, she's had to deal with this her whole life. Maybe that's why she looks the way she looks. I don't mean that to be as mean as it is, but chick looks bad. Sorry. I don't know if lotion fixes that or not. I don't know. Folks, a lot is happening. The world's changing. It's getting crazier day by day. And we've got to continue to hold the ground. We've got to continue to inform people as best we can. I mean, I hope anyways. I hope that's what you guys are doing. I need all your help. I want all your help. God needs your help. We're trying to do a lot, but we are, I think, making progress. I see it every day. It's just not happening as fast as any one of us wants. Maybe it's just happening as fast as it can. I kind of believe that. A lot to happen. Music show coming up here not too long. For those of you that watched me immediately after I come out, we've got Doobie Brothers happening today at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern. Go live for a little over an hour. And still not 100% sure on what's going to happen with my boy Alpha, the Alpha Warrior, he's been a very, very busy man lately, so hopefully synchronicity will happen tonight, but I don't know as of yet. We'll talk more about that later as it works out, but love you guys. We'll continue to love you, and I want to continue to work with you guys as we change this world together. Thank you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.